Welcome to BookCast FM, bringing books to life one cast at a time. Today we're doing a deep dive into a really fascinating book. It's kind of a cognitive toolkit for navigating modern life. It's The Happiness Hypothesis, Finding Modern Truth in Ancient Wisdom by the social psychologist Jonathan Haidt.
Yeah, and Haidt's goal here is pretty ambitious, actually. He takes these 10 really big ideas about happiness, meaning, morality, ideas from thinkers like Plato, Buddha, the Stoics.
The classics.
Exactly, ideas that have been around forever. And he basically tests them against modern psychology and neuroscience. So our mission for you listening is to pull out those surprising scientific bits that actually back up these ancient paths to lasting fulfillment.
And the whole book really, it seems to hang on this one core metaphor. It's brilliant because it instantly clicks, explains why we struggle with goals or procrastinate.
Or why we feel like we're fighting ourselves sometimes. That's the central point Haidt makes right at the start. The mind is fundamentally divided. And he gives us this great image, the rider on top of an elephant, understanding that dynamic, that conflict between the conscious and the automatic. That's the key. It unlocks pretty much everything else in the book about motivation and happiness.
Okay, let's definitely unpack that rider and elephant thing straight away. It seems crucial. So the rider, that's like the conscious part, the planner.
Yeah, the rider is you, your conscious reasoning, your logical mind. It's the bit that makes New Year's resolutions, plans your day, weighs pros and cons.
Got it. And the elephant.
The elephant is, it's huge. It's powerful, emotional, automatic, instinctive. It's basically 99% of your mental processing. It's your gut feelings, your intuitions, your desires.
99%. Wow.
Yeah. And here's the kicker. The thing that connects Plato's old idea of a charioteer managing horses to modern brain scans, the elephant is just vastly stronger. When they disagree, when your rational rider wants one thing and your emotional elephant wants another, the elephant almost always wins. And the rider, because it's the conscious, articulate part, its job often becomes, Haidt calls it the press secretary. It doesn't really control the elephant. It just comes up with clever reasons for why the elephant did what it just did. Post hoc rationalization.
So wait a second. If the elephant's that strong and the rider is just making excuses, what does that mean for, free will or self-control? If I know I should save money, that's my rider talking, but my elephant really wants that new shiny thing, and the elephant wins. How do you ever achieve self-mastery?
That's the big challenge Haidt tackles right up front. He says, look, if you try to just force the elephant using willpower, you're probably going to fail.
Because willpower is limited.
Exactly. Willpower is a resource the rider uses, and it gets depleted easily. So the rider has to be smart, strategic. Real, lasting change doesn't come from brute force against the elephant. It comes from influencing the elephant indirectly.
Okay. And this is where the ancient wisdom comes back in, right? They figured out ways to work with the elephant, not just fight it.
Precisely. Think about ancient practices. Buddhist meditation, for instance, trains attention and emotional regulation over time. Stoicism focuses on changing your judgments about events, not the events themselves. These aren't about sudden willpower. They're about retraining the elephant's automatic responses.
And modern therapy, like CBT.
Cognitive behavioral therapy does something very similar. It essentially teaches the rider how to identify and challenge the automatic negative thoughts or the unhelpful stories the elephant is running with. You're training the elephant through repetition, through changing its habits.
So it's less about fighting, more about gentle guidance. Or maybe changing the path the elephant walks on.
That's a great way to put it, and it leads to one of the most practical pieces of advice in the book. It's often easier to change your environment than to rely on sheer willpower.
Right. Like if you don't want to eat cookies, don't have them in the house.
Exactly. Don't put the rider in a constant battle it's likely to lose. Make the environment support the direction you want the elephant to go. Put your phone in another room if you need to focus. Remove the temptations. You're managing the elephant's world, not just trying to wrestle it into submission.
Okay, that makes a lot of sense. So we've got this divided self, rider and elephant. Now, how does this play out when we interact with other people? Haidt talks a lot about our social nature.
He does. He emphasizes that we're fundamentally social creatures, deeply wired for community. And a huge driver of our social and moral lives is this core instinct, reciprocity.
Reciprocity, like tit for tat.
Sort of, yeah. But it's a dual thing. There's the positive side, the golden rule, the deep-seated urge to repay kindness, to return favors, to cooperate. That feels good.
Sure.
But then there's the darker side, negative reciprocity. Haidt calls it reciprocity with a vengeance. It's that powerful, almost consuming instinct to punish cheaters, to seek justice, to retaliate against betrayal, even if it costs us something.
Ah, okay. I think I know that feeling. You see it in those economic games, right? Like the ultimatum game.
Exactly. The ultimatum game is a perfect example. One person gets, say, $10 and has to propose a split with another person. If the second person accepts, they both get the money. If they reject, nobody gets anything.
And rationally, the second person should accept any offer, right? Even $1 is better than nothing.
Rationally, yes, that's the writer talking. But what happens if the offer is seen as unfair, like $9 for the proposer and only $1 for the responder? People often reject it. They would rather get nothing than let the other person get away with an unfair split.
So the elephant's sense of outrage, that demand for fairness, overrides the writer's rational calculation of getting some money.
Precisely. It shows that fairness isn't just a calculation for us. It's a deep emotional drive. The elephant cares more about justice in that moment than about maximizing profit.
And once that moral judgment kicks in, that's unfair. Our writer, the press secretary, jumps in to build the case for why our outrage is justified.
Which brings us neatly to another key point Haidt makes. Our tendency towards moral blindness, or maybe moral hypocrisy. We're incredibly good at spotting flaws, inconsistencies, and hypocrisy in other people, but almost totally blind to our own.
Why is that? Why are we such harsh judges of others and so lenient with ourselves?
Haidt has this really sharp insight. He says, the human mind is a story processor, not a logic processor. We're not built like objective scientists carefully weighing evidence to find the truth.
We're built like, what did he say, lawyers.
Intuitive lawyers, exactly. Our reasoning, the writer, evolved primarily to defend our actions and judgments, which are often driven by the elephant's gut feelings and self-interest. We find evidence that supports our pre-existing beliefs and ignore evidence that doesn't.
So we make these snap moral judgments based on emotion, and then our clever writer constructs this elaborate legal brief to justify why we're right. That's a bit depressing.
It can seem that way. But the takeaway isn't despair, it's humility. Recognizing this bias is the first step. We need to accept that we all do this. The antidote, Haidt suggests, is actively cultivating perspective-taking.
Like trying to genuinely see the other side.
Yeah, forcing your writer to argue the other person's case, not just your own, or seeking out people who disagree with you and genuinely listening. It helps counteract that natural self-serving bias.
Okay, humility and perspective-taking. Got it. Now let's shift gears a bit. If our minds are kind of designed for this social maneuvering and self-justification, how does that impact our own personal quest for happiness? Haidt spends a lot of time debunking common myths about happiness.
He really does. He goes straight after the idea that external achievements like getting rich, famous, or constantly chasing pleasure are the keys to lasting joy. The science just doesn't back that up.
Why not? Seems intuitive that winning the lottery would make you happy forever.
Well, there are two big reasons. First, there's the happiness set point. Research suggests about 50% of our general happiness level is determined by genetics. We each have a kind of baseline we tend to return to.
Okay.
And second, there's hedonic adaptation. This is huge. Basically, humans are incredibly good at getting used to things, both good and bad. Win the lottery. Yeah, you get a big boost in happiness, but surprisingly quickly, you adapt. That new level becomes normal, and the thrill fades. Same for negative events. Thankfully, people often adapt to difficult circumstances better than they expect.
So we just get used to stuff, and the pleasure wears off.
Yeah.
Chasing constant external highs is like running on a treadmill, a hedonic treadmill.
Exactly. You have to keep running faster just to stay in the same place emotionally. So if those external pleasures are fleeting, what does lead to real sustainable happiness according to Haidt and the research?
This is the core, right?
Yeah. He identifies three main sources that seem to work, that bypass that hedonic adaptation: love, engagement, and meaning.
Love, engagement, meaning. Okay.
Love means strong social connections, relationships. Engagement refers to flow, that state of being completely absorbed in a challenging, rewarding activity where you lose track of time. And meaning comes from feeling connected to something larger than yourself.
He quotes Freud, doesn't he? Something about love and work.
He does. Love and work are the cornerstones of our humanness. Haidt interprets work broadly here as engagement and finding purpose. These things love, flow, meaning they tend to make the self kind of shrink. You're not focused on your own little desires or anxieties. You're connected or absorbed.
Let's dig into love a bit more. He distinguishes between different types, doesn't he?
Yes, specifically in romantic love. There's passionate love, that intense, exciting, head-over-heels feeling. It's driven largely by dopamine, great for initial bonding, but it's inherently unstable and tends to fade, usually within a year or two. Adaptation kicks in.
The honeymoon phase ends.
Pretty much. But then there's companionate love. This is the deeper, steadier affection built on trust, intimacy, shared history, shared goals. It's fueled more by oxytocin, the cuddle hormone. That's the kind of love strongly linked to long-term happiness and well-being.
And it's not just romance, is it? Our early life matters here too.
Absolutely. Haidt brings in attachment theory. Our early experiences with caregivers, whether we felt secure, anxious, or avoidant, set patterns for how we approach intimacy and trust in our adult relationships. Secure attachments in childhood make it easier to form that vital companionate love later on. Basically, strong, trusting relationships are non-negotiable for human flourishing.
Okay, so love, connection, crucial. But life isn't always loving or easy. What about suffering? Does Haidt just say, avoid it?
Quite the opposite, actually. This is another area where he challenges common assumptions. He looks at the role of adversity in Chapter 7.
Right, the idea that hardship can actually be good for us. That sounds counterintuitive.
It does, but there's solid research behind post-traumatic growth, or PTG. It's the phenomenon where people who go through significant trauma or adversity and, crucially, integrate that experience through reflection, making sense of it, often come out stronger.
Stronger how?
They report increased wisdom, a greater appreciation for life, deeper relationships, new possibilities, enhanced personal strength. It doesn't mean the trauma was good, but the struggle to overcome it can lead to positive psychological changes. Haidt quotes the saying, "What doesn't kill me makes me stronger," but adds the caveat, "It depends on how you handle it."
So it's not automatic. You have to work through it.
Exactly. He supports the adversity hypothesis, the idea that just like muscles need resistance to grow, our minds and characters need some level of challenge and moderate stress to develop resilience and depth. Too much can break you, but zero adversity leads to fragility.
He has that quote, adversity introduces you to yourself.
Yes, it strips away the superficial stuff and forces you, rider, and elephant together to figure out what really matters.
That struggle and the strength that can come from it seems like it leads naturally into the idea of virtue. Haidt connects virtue to Aristotle, right?
Yes, directly to Aristotle's concept of eudaimonia, which often gets translated as happiness, but it's much richer than that. It really means human flourishing or living well.
And virtue is key to that flourishing.
For Aristotle, and Haidt agrees based on modern psychology, virtue is essential. But it's not about rigid rules. It's about finding the golden mean, the right balance between extremes. Courage is the mean between cowardice and recklessness, for example.
Okay. It's about balance and harmony.
Exactly. When you act virtuously, your desires and values, the elephant and the rider, are aligned. There's inner harmony. And Haidt argues this state of being, this virtuous flourishing, is crucial for long-term psychological well-being. Often, it's something people develop through overcoming adversity.
So adversity builds strength, which supports virtue, which leads to flourishing. It's all connected. What about the more spiritual side? He talks about divinity even without God.
Right. Chapter 9 is divinity with or without God. He talks about the experience of moral elevation, that feeling of awe, reverence, inspiration you get when you witness acts of great kindness or courage or experience something vast and beautiful.
Like seeing the Grand Canyon or hearing incredible music.
Precisely. Haidt argues this capacity for awe and self-transcendence is an innate part of human nature. Religions often provide frameworks and rituals to cultivate these feelings of connection to something sacred, something larger than the self.
But you don't need traditional religion to feel it.
No, that's the key point. You can find that sense of transcendence in secular ways too, through nature, art, music, even deep flow states during intense work or creativity.
What's the common element in those experiences?
The shrinking of the self. In moments of awe or deep flow, your ego quiets down. The chattering rider, the demanding elephant they recede, you feel connected, part of something bigger. Your personal worries seem less important.
It's like you get out of your own head for a bit.
Exactly. And Haidt highlights this paradox. Happiness grows as the self shrinks. True fulfillment often comes not from focusing inward on your own needs, but from connecting outward, from belonging to or serving something greater than yourself.
Wow. Okay, so we've covered the divided self, morality, reciprocity, happiness myths, love, adversity, virtue, and transcendence. How does Haidt tie all these threads together in the end? What's the final synthesis?
His concluding idea, Chapter 10, is that happiness isn't found inside you, nor does it come purely from outside things. Happiness, he argues, comes from the between.
The between, what does that mean?
It means happiness is relational. It's an emergent property that arises from the connections you cultivate. It emerges in the space between things.
Okay, like what kinds of connections?
He identifies three crucial types of betweenness. First, the connection between you and others through love, strong relationships, community, acting virtuously. Second, the connection between you and your work, finding purpose, achieving engagement, and flow.
And the third?
The third is the connection between you and something larger than yourself. That sense of meaning, purpose, transcendence, awe, whether it's through religion, spirituality, nature, or dedication to a cause.
So happiness isn't a destination you arrive at or something you achieve internally. It's something that happens when you get these relationships right. The relationship with yourself, rider and elephant aligned, with others, with your work, and with the world, or something bigger.
That's the essence of it. True, lasting happiness, according to Haidt's synthesis of ancient wisdom and modern science, comes from cultivating that inner alignment and building those vital external connections. You live rightly, you connect deeply, and happiness tends to follow as a result.
That really flips the script on just chasing pleasure, doesn't it?
Yeah.
It's less about asking what's the meaning of life and more about living in a way that creates meaning.
Beautifully put. That's precisely the shift in perspective Haidt offers. The meaning of life isn't some cosmic answer you find. It's a realization you cultivate through how you live, how you connect, how you align your rider and your elephant.
A powerful thought to end on. Well, that was our deep dive into Jonathan Haidt's The Happiness Hypothesis. If this sparked your interest and you want to really dig into the details, the studies, the full arguments, we definitely encourage you to grab a copy of the book, support the author. You'll find a link in the description.
It's definitely worth the read. Thanks for joining us for this exploration.
This has been BookCast FM, bringing books to life, one cast at a time.